Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to come back to Cloudbazaar. I was there as speaker last year as well. Of course, last year was different. We were at the at the event, and everybody was in person. So this is a new one. Speaking at Cloudbazaar for the second year, but this time on a virtual environment. I'm not getting the impact of all of you sitting in front of me, but hopefully I can still convey some of the key points that I wish to convey on this presentation. And in fact, this presentation, as you would see the topic there, is about the impact of digital business, impact on digital businesses, thanks to the pandemic. The same pandemic that prevents us from being in person, face to face, and having to sort of see each other through the screen. So, needless to say, okay, before I move forward on my topic, a very quick introduction. I think, you already have some idea of my background, but I am currently a co-founder and joint CEO at Mirum. We are a digital media agency. We are part of the WPP group, and we come under the Wunderman Thompson arm of the WPP group. We are a gold partner with Salesforce.com, and there is also a book that I've authored. It's called If I Had to Do It Again. So, and I'm on Twitter at SM63. If anybody's interested to engage with me on Twitter, you're most welcome. So with that quick and small introduction, we jump into the topic per se. So coronavirus obviously has been the thing, it's been the like Time magazine says, the man of the year. This is the event of the year, and 2020 has been pretty much washed out thanks to the coronavirus for a lot of our businesses. Came March, and many of us went into lockdown. Many of the businesses were pretty much shut down, nothing happening. A lot of businesses have been impacted. And of course, as we now look back in December and look back on the 9 months, what we are seeing is that things have changed. I mean, we have adapted, and we're all living lives differently thanks to whatever has happened. And it has created what is, oft-repeated statement, which is the new normal. And in that new normal, businesses have adapted. All of us in the digital world have adapted to living differently. And we reckon that whatever kind of behavior, whatever kind of change we are seeing is going to be around for the near future, at least. I mean, irrespective of when the vaccine comes and all that, we believe that at least for the next 6 months, maybe a year, maybe more, we're going to be in this sort of a state. And also the fact that, even after things return to the so-called old normal, some things will change forever because we have learned a new and better way of kind of working. And that's a change which all of us are going to see how it impacts our own lives, right? So while everything has changed, a lot of businesses have been hit badly, a lot of industries have got hurt. If there is one industry or one business which might have become a kind of a beneficiary of this pandemic, it would be the world of digital. And all of us, all of you are in the world of digital. You are playing some or the other role. And I'm sure all of us have seen an impact, sure, in the month of March, April, May, maybe there was a downturn, but once things kind of turned around, we are amongst the few industries which has been the beneficiary, and we can say that maybe that was a silver lining of otherwise dark times, that at least our business has moved forward. And the reason for this is that, when we are not able to do physical contact, digital has become that way to communicate. Digital has been the way to connect with each other. And because of which, I'm sure there is a demand for more websites, there's a demand for more, domain names and whatnot. And I'm sure as a part of the industry, all of you have seen that benefit come through for you and your businesses, right? Now, while as an impact of the pandemic, a lot has changed. What I thought I would focus on for this presentation are a few specific changes or specific impacts which will be relevant for all of us in the digital businesses, right? So I'm going to focus on the following four things. The first one is the rise of e-commerce and how it impacts all of us. The how voice technology is gaining pace. The area of small town and rural marketing, and then something called smart digital touchpoints. And you'll know what I'm talking about as we come to the respective sections. So in the whole overall ecosystem of digital, and a lot of things are changing. I'm focusing on these four to sort of say that these four are fairly big, large impacts for any of us in this room or in this, who is listening to this presentation, because I believe all of you are in the digital market in some or the other way, and all of these are very, very relevant. They're all kind of different from each other, but all of them somewhere will connect with some of you, right? So let's start with the first one, which is the rise of e-commerce. And very clearly, we know that as soon as we went into lockdown mode, um, we were not able to step out of our homes, and yet all of us needed to have our essential supplies. We needed to have our food and groceries and medicines and whatnot. And the only way it was enabled or possible was through some form of remote ordering, whether it's e-commerce and actually going to the website and ordering essentials, or when your local kirana guy started taking orders on a WhatsApp or something like that. One or the other way, we found a way to make remote commerce happen. And while some of us might have already been, quite accustomed to doing e-commerce and buying and selling on e-commerce, there's a whole lot of new users who started using e-commerce for the first time simply because there was no other option. And whatever had held them back till that point, now they were constrained or rather forced to use it. And once they used it, what has happened is that obviously they found the convenience. Why would I go and stand in a crowded store for buying my essential supplies, which I know these are the few items that I need to get? And there is no mystery about it. I don't need to window shop. I can just give the link. I mean, I can just order and it comes home. That's it. So suddenly, the convenience of e-commerce and the time you save, the less risk you take in today's day and age with COVID around, has enabled e-commerce to grow by leaps and bounds over this period. And as some data source tells us that there's about 17% growth in e-commerce in this very short period of hardly 9 months or so. So that being the case, from a point of view of all of us as professionals in this digital world, what is the opportunity? Well, the opportunity is that if you were in the business of helping your clients create digital presence, maybe through a website or something, most of them, or rather all of them, sooner or later are going to ask that they want to be able to sell online. So are you as a service provider knowing what to do? Do you know how to get your client's website becoming e-commerce enabled? I mean, or rather, how to enable your client to sell online with putting up products, managing logistics, managing inventory, managing change of whatever, change of pricing and promotions and whatnot, and of course the whole payment gateway and CRM and everything. There's a whole bunch of things involved when it comes to e-commerce. So one is to enable it on the client's own website, and the other, of course, other interesting opportunity or possibility is when you enable the client to be able to sell on marketplaces, whether it's Amazon, Flipkart, Facebook Shop, wherever. I mean, there are a lot of enabling places, so where you can set up the shop for your client. I mean, most of the clients would not know how to do even that, even though it's relatively much simpler as compared to creating your own e-commerce website, because it involves some understanding of technology. It involves some way of utilizing the platforms and setting it up and all that. So as a service provider, are you already there with that offering as a part of your bouquet of services that says, okay, I know all of you are going to require e-commerce, and I have ability to sell that. So that's one thing. If you do not have it, then it's something which you definitely need to invest your time and get there. So that's the first major impacting shift which is going to happen, especially accelerated by the pandemic. Coming to the second one, which is about voice technology. Now, what is first of all, let's be clear that we understand what we are talking about as far as voice technology is concerned. Voice technology is all of these things, right? First is when you have smart speakers, what we call as like the Alexas and the Google Home and all that, right? So that is one part where you're actually commanding the device by voice, telling it to give you some information, what is the temperature outside, or what's the currency rate, or asking it to play a song for you or whatever. So that's kind of a device which is triggered by voice. But besides those fancy devices like the Google Homes and Alexas and most of our phones, or rather all of our phones, are equally voice enabled. So you can actually tell your Google Android phone or your iPhone or whatever, also command it through voice, right? So now the point I'm making here is that all this kind of voice technology is significantly gaining pace. Now, the thing which has led to some of these is that one is, of course, the whole penetration of high-speed internet across the country. Thanks to Geo and other service providers, and it's giving internet at inexpensive rates. But the other thing is that as even in the interiors, and even as the penetration of internet is going beyond the 500 and 600 million in India, the new users coming in are not the most literate of users, right? They're the most literate users probably adapted to the internet the first. Now, when the next base of users are coming, so first of all, they are not the kind who are able to easily migrate into that small phone and type their messages, or type their commands, or also get spellings right and everything. Now, for all of these people, having a device which can just listen to them on voice becomes an absolutely fantastic thing that they have. So with that extended penetration of the internet around the country, and the ability of phones to respond to voice commands has been another big factor in driving voice technology, and it's only going up, one way up, as you can say. So now the opportunity again for you as a person in the business is that, are you able to get your clients to become voice ready? So what is the meaning of voice ready? Is their website voice responsive? I mean, can the website accept commands by voice? Is their site showing up in search engines when somebody is doing a Google search using voice? I mean, are their products getting enabled on smart speakers? When I ask Alexa that, can you tell me where's the nearest hospital? Does your client who's a hospital, does that name show up, or they are not optimized for that? So getting your clients ready for voice is a great need of the hour, and it's again only going to increase. And that it takes some doing. It takes a certain skill, and as people in the world of digital service providing, all of you can definitely get to that and become a service provider who can also set up your client for voice. And again, the market is growing very rapidly, and the earlier you adapt, the better. Coming to the third point, and the third point is around small town and rural marketing, right? Now, the background to this is that unlike cities, when it came to small towns and villages, the earlier pre-COVID times, the marketing used to happen typically in one of two ways. One was through those trade fairs, which you saw, like, a big mela and a lot of brands and all showing up here. And lots of villagers come, and of course, brands do their whatever promotion and get across to the villages. But the other thing was a traveling salesman. Somebody who goes from village to village and showcases and sells their product to the small stores there. Whether it's FMCG products or electronics or whatever it is, right? So these were the two typical ways in which small town or rural marketing used to happen. But as soon as comes pandemic, neither the traveling salesman can travel, because obviously there is a big risk in making such travel on the road. And the other is that, obviously large trade fairs or village fairs cannot happen, because again, through on account of the pandemic. So then the question is, I mean, it's still a large market, it's still a fairly large population out there. So how does a brand get across to those consumers? Now, thankfully, once again, digital comes to the rescue. Now, earlier, why was digital not used as much for small town and rural marketing? One was, of course, the fact that the internet had not reached the far corners of the country. The second was, people were not on the internet. They just reached. I mean, phones had not reached. Phones were not that cheap. Now, all of those things have happened. High-speed internet has reached villages and small towns. Devices have become cheaper, and they've also reached there. Now, in addition to that, like I was telling earlier when I was talking about voice, the population of these places which are coming onto the internet are not that proficient in English. So the first thing, if earlier internet was, especially in India, was very English oriented, all the content was largely in English. Thankfully, in the last few years, more and more companies and more brands have started investing into regional language content. So they've converted their websites into multiple languages, and enabled to be able to consume by people around the country. So that is one. The increase of regional language content is one. The second, as I mentioned, voice. Again, the same person can use the voice to connect with a device and exchange messages. So there's a second development, and of course the high-speed internet. Now, all of these three combined enable the person in a small town or a village to also equally be accessing the digital resources, and the same can be used by brands to reach that customer. So if you, as a service provider, or if you as a website designer or whatever, are a person coming from a relatively small town, or you may have brands which are also having a reach to the village market, what's the opportunity for you? You want to make sure that your brand, your client's website is available in regional languages. It is voice enabled. If sometimes they need to be enabled on some regional language apps, you're enabling them so that they are able to access the rural and small town market through the internet. So that's your opportunity for as a demand. And then coming to the fourth point for this talk, which is around smart digital touchpoint. Now, you're seeing really fancy office. So what am I trying to talk about here? The scenario is that companies used to spend a lot of good money in building out a nice infrastructure, whether it is nice offices, physical stores, etc. And of course, while they wanted to give the required comfort to the people who are working there, it was also a place which made an impression to all stakeholders. So like if you had an insurance policy with an insurance company and you happen to walk into their office because of some reason, and you see this nice office, good looking office, very good interiors, air conditioned, good receptionist and everything, you feel that, okay, maybe you're in safe hands, it's the right company, you can deal with them. So the image building of the business was happening through this infrastructure. And it was happening as much to customers, to distributors, to stake investors, to employees or prospective employees. All of these people made an impression about the business based on that physical infrastructure. And hence companies used to spend a lot of money to build it out really well. Granite and nice upholstery and good paintings on the wall and everything. That's what they used to do. Now the point is that thanks to pandemic, hardly anybody even goes to the office. Maybe the offices are kept closed, right? So all that infrastructure investment and all, what does it do? I mean, it's not creating an impact because people are not coming there to have that image being created. So as an alternative, however, all the image building for the business is happening through the digital touch points. So instead of going to the physical office of that insurance company, I'm now going to the website or I'm going to their app, right? And whatever I see there is basis which I'm creating an impression for myself about that company or that business. So which brings us to the question that does that digital touch point create the right impact or the right image about the business, right? Like the company spent a lot of money in creating fancy offices and fancy stores, does the website or the app or any other digital touch point create an equally good impression about that business? And if not, then they are having a big risk, because they may be the best in that business, but somebody else, their competitor, might make a better impression through their website or their app, and might create a better impression on the customer and take it away. So, which means that if you have a client, you have to tell them that digital touch points are the way, not only for your functional requirement of doing business, but they are also the way in which your company's image is being built. So, are you giving the right user experience? Are you giving the right, design and user interface? Is it representing the correct brand tonality? So, if an investment bank has an office which gives that, it's opulent and it's, rich, all that, does the website also give those kinds of cues, or it gives something completely different? So the right user experience, the right customer experience, the right brand tonality has to be in there on all the digital touch points, which actually for you means an opportunity maybe to revamp the website, maybe to do a new user experience study, and then replace some elements, change it, because it becomes all the more essential thanks to pandemic. It was always important, but thanks to pandemic, that's the only place where an image is being built about the company. So those were essentially my key points for the, like I said, four major elements, four areas where there's a big impact thanks to the pandemic. And basically, to summarize, what I would say that the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Far too often, we are stuck that, oh my God, pandemic has come. I wish I could do something same. What I used to do. On the other end, if you relook at your work and your business, you say that, okay, yes, it's tough. It's pandemic, and I'm stuck at home, and I have this problem and that problem. But hey, I'm in the digital world, and it's opened up all these new opportunities for me, and I can probably double my business thanks to this. So why not I grab all of these with both my hands and ride the opportunity and make a big business for myself? So that's the takeaway, and happy to take some questions. Seeing the first question here, which says that rise in e-commerce and innovation in digital marketing are forced upon us due to COVID. How sustainable would these trends be in the post-COVID era, after disposable income is not an issue and people would need any excuse to step out of their homes? So at the outset, the rise in e-commerce and innovation are not, I mean, I would sort of say that they were not forced upon us due to COVID. They were anyway growing quite well. I think there has been an acceleration in the growth thanks to COVID. Now, the fact is that once, as I was mentioning in the talk earlier, once people understand the convenience and appreciate the benefits of e-commerce, there are going to be some habits which will be formed, and people will continue to uh, indulge in e-commerce as well as adopt other innovation. And while, of course, yes, many of us would like to step out and go back into the stores, I think there will be a certain level of rise which will happen and stay. Maybe at this point it has gone even above. Maybe there is going to be a sort of a next level reached, but that will sustain. And of course, the steady state growth will continue as um, people realize the convenience of shopping online, the fact that you can get almost infinite choice as against walking into a store and having a limited number of items. The time that you have to spend walking around and shopping. So yeah, I mean, shopping in the store will be for specific categories and maybe for a change, but for probably for essentials and for many other categories, e-commerce might become a significant default for a large number of people. So that's my view on this. Second question is that do you see any privacy or data security concerns with voice devices? I mean, there are definite concerns on privacy and data security, whether it's with voice devices or even with regular internet usage. We live in a connected world. We live in a world where a lot of data resides on cloud. A lot of there are backlinks of connectivity coming back into our machines or into our homes, and there is always a risk of somebody hacking into these. I don't think they are more or less because of voice devices. We are as vulnerable to privacy or data security with or without voice, as long as you are using the internet. Having said that, businesses, companies, whether it's the smart speaker companies, whether it's service providers, whether it's ISPs, everybody is working hard to create barriers which will help in preventing privacy violations. So it's a constant sort of cat and mouse game between somebody looking to hack and all the service providers trying to protect privacy and data security. But in this world of connected devices, that risk is always going to be there, and as a user, we have to be careful and adopt a lot of best practices in the way we use anything which is sort of connected to the internet. So I think that's the reality. The third question is, how can we ensure that the rural market is equally addressed and does not create a divide because of price sensitivity, lesser 4G penetration, etc.? Well, honestly, that's, I mean, I'm addressing this talk from the perspective of somebody in the marketing world or somebody in the business of helping brands and companies deliver value for rural markets or any other market. So honestly, this is a question left more for government or for other bodies of the kind to ensure that there is there is equal access of technology and price benefits across the country, including in rural markets. But I mean, I would not want to hazard an answer to this because I don't think that's my purview, and nor is it for somebody in the business of providing web services to really be able to do so. It's something which hopefully government and other regulatory bodies will try and enable. So I'm not going to certainly hazard a viewpoint on this. I just hope that yes, the divide is not there, and everybody gets equal access to technology as well as at the right pricing. Uh, okay, I guess that I don't see any more questions, so I think that's about it. Thank you so much.